It was the year 2013. At that particular time, I was in my very first year of university studies, a period of significant change and new experiences. I was the youngest son in our family, and as such, I was also the most pampered and cherished, often receiving special attention and privileges. Seeing my friends with their modern mobile phones, which were becoming increasingly popular and essential, I started persistently pestering my dear father for a mobile phone as well, feeling a strong desire to keep up with my peers. My father, being supportive and understanding of my wishes, eventually bought me a brand new touchscreen mobile phone for 15,000 taka, a considerable sum at the time. As soon as I got the new phone, I immediately created a Facebook account, eager to connect with friends and explore the digital world. Since the cell tower was a bit far from our house, we didn't always get a very good network signal, which could be quite frustrating. So sometimes, to get a better connection, we would go outside the house to use Facebook more effectively, seeking out areas with stronger reception. One evening after the Maghrib prayer, I was sitting outside on a platform, diligently using Facebook and listening to some music through my headphones, enjoying the quiet evening. Suddenly, quite unexpectedly, I noticed an elderly woman approach from behind and stand directly in front of me, her presence unsettling. She began staring intently at me for a while, her gaze unwavering and unnerving. At one point, she even gave me a strangely eerie and unsettling smile, which sent shivers down my spine. The old woman was quite short in stature, wearing a white sari, and her face was completely bloodless, appearing incredibly pale and ghostly, almost translucent. Seeing her was absolutely terrified, my heart pounding in my chest. I quickly took off my headphones, turned off the music on my phone, and looked straight ahead. There was absolutely no one there, as if she had vanished into thin air. Even when I looked all around, scanning the area frantically, I couldn't see anyone at all. In a sudden panic, overwhelmed by fear, I rushed inside the house, seeking safety and comfort. Then, still trembling, I told my mother exactly what had happened, recounting the bizarre encounter. My mother got quite angry with me, asking why I had gone outside after evening and so on, expressing her concern and frustration. Then she recited some prayers and blew on me, a traditional protective gesture. After that, nothing else happened to me, and the strange incident seemed to be over. I stopped going outside after evening, learning a valuable lesson from the unsettling experience. I should mention I was a very good ma. Hearing that made me feel really, truly, deeply bad, a profound sense of unease settling heavily within my chest. Meanwhile, Nasiruddin, with an almost unsettling and quite noticeable urgency, had already started moving ahead, his pace quickening significantly. Feeling a bit annoyed, and a growing sense of irritation bubbling up inside me, I deliberately struck a match, watching the small flame flicker to life, then carefully lit it, and slowly, deliberately, stood up from my crouched position. For a moment, a chilling, unexpected jolt of surprise, almost a shock, ran through me when I looked down at Nasiruddin's feet, a sight that instantly seized my attention. I saw, with a dawning horror, that his feet were completely, utterly abnormal, twisted in a way that defied natural anatomy, a truly disturbing sight. Nasiruddin, sounding quite irritated, his voice laced with impatience and a hint of annoyance, turned back abruptly and said, his words sharp and demanding, "What's up? No cigarettes? Nothing at all?" He paused, then continued, his tone even more demanding. "Then why, pray tell, are you lighting a match?" He gestured impatiently. "Come on, hurry up and move ahead. We don't have all day." By then, a cold, icy chill, a truly bone-deep shiver had run down my spine, a premonition of something terrible. What I saw in the flickering, ephemeral light of that match for those fleeting 5 seconds, those precious, terrifying moments, couldn't possibly, under any circumstances, have been merely my imagination. It was too vivid, too real, too horrifyingly clear. By then, a terrifying realization had dawned upon me, a certainty that I was about to fall into some huge, inescapable danger, a peril far greater than I could have ever imagined. The person, the entity, standing in front of me, his form subtly shifting in the dim light, wasn't Nasiruddin at all, but rather some malevolent, ancient, and utterly evil jinn, a demonic spirit disguised in human form. I was so scared, so utterly terrified, that I could barely breathe, my lungs constricting, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. Then, as quickly and as calmly as humanly possible, I tried to compose myself, to regain some semblance of control, and told myself, with a desperate inner resolve, that I had to act in a way with such careful composure so that he wouldn't suspect anything, not even the slightest hint of my terror or my discovery. Maybe, just maybe, if I didn't manage to deceive him, if I failed in this crucial task, I wouldn't make it out alive, my life hanging by the thinnest of threads. Then from ahead, his voice cutting through the oppressive silence, he said, his tone still impatient, "Hey, how much longer are you going to take? Are you going to stand there all night?" Without letting him realize anything, without betraying my fear or my newfound knowledge, I started walking with him, forcing myself to match his pace, every step a struggle against my own terror. By then, we had almost reached the very edge of the forest, the dense dark tree line looming ominously before us. A little farther and the thought trailed off, a terrifying unknown awaiting us. She dreamt that I had fallen into a deep, dark well and was crying out desperately for help, my voice echoing faintly in the confined space. The well itself, in this terrifying dream, was gradually and ominously getting smaller, its walls closing in with unsettling slowness. My mother, in her dream, was trying with all her might to reach the well, to get to me. But no matter what she did, she simply couldn't get close to it. Every time she attempted to move forward, she would be forcefully pushed back by an unseen powerful wind, an invisible barrier preventing her progress. At that precise moment, her deep drowsiness began to slowly fade away, replaced by a sudden, urgent sense of alarm. She quickly got up from her bed and rushed to my room, her heart pounding with growing dread, only to find that I wasn't in my bed at all. My mother immediately became very worried, a cold knot forming in her stomach. She knew, of course, that I usually went fishing at night, a common pastime for me, but she also knew that I always, without fail, came back home before the stroke of midnight. She was fully aware of that routine too. Since my friends or my cousins were almost always with me on these nocturnal fishing trips, she had never said anything, never voiced her concerns. With a renewed sense of urgency, she quickly went to my aunt's house, woke her up from her peaceful sleep, and anxiously asked, "Did my cousins go fishing tonight?" My aunt, still a little groggy, replied, "No, none of them went fishing at all tonight. They just came back from the meeting a little while ago and went straight to sleep, completely exhausted." Now, at this revelation, my mother became truly frightened, a chilling fear gripping her heart. She then woke up my elder sister, explaining the unsettling situation. My father was not at home at that time. He was away on an important business trip, unable to offer immediate comfort or assistance. My mother and my elder sister, with solemn faces, performed their ablution, a ritual cleansing, and then quickly sat down together to pray, seeking divine guidance and protection in their moment of profound worry and fear. The powerful attachment to life is an incredibly strong and compelling thing. Meanwhile, I kept hearing a persistent, ominous hissing sound emanating from behind me, as if a violent and relentless storm was truly raging all around. And of course, there was that truly terrifying and deafening roar that echoed through the air. After running for what felt like an eternity, almost 15 agonizing minutes, my legs could no longer adequately carry me forward. My entire body was growing increasingly weary and utterly exhausted. Everything before my eyes was slowly but surely turning dark, a deep and foreboding blackness. Suddenly, I violently collided with something unseen and fell abruptly down to the ground. As I desperately tried to get back up, I noticed an overwhelming and suffocating darkness all around me. Some powerful wind was swirling intensely like a destructive tornado. I was right in the very center of its furious vortex. At some point, that terrifying whirlwind seemed to crush me with immense force. I simply couldn't take it anymore. My strength had completely given out. Crying out in a desperate plea, "Allah, please save me," I then completely lost consciousness. In that precise moment of losing consciousness, three distinct things reached my ears. First, I clearly heard someone say, with an air of finality, "No one can possibly save you." Second, a few people, their voices filled with concern, called out my name. Third, and the sweetest of all sounds, it felt as if I had been waiting for an eternity, my entire life, just to hear this. It was the beautiful and comforting sound of the Fajr Azan. At last I lost consciousness completely and utterly. I couldn't say anything more, not a single word. When I finally regained consciousness, slowly coming back to my senses, I found myself miraculously at home. Someone was gently pouring cool water on my head and reciting sacred prayers, blowing over me with a soothing breath. I could also distinctly hear my beloved mother crying, her voice filled with relief and emotion. Finally, I slowly opened my eyes.